My name is Ryan, and I never thought my own mother would be the one to erase who I was. I always believed she loved me, that she wanted the best for me, but what she did still feels unreal, like some twisted dream I can't wake up from. It all started last summer, the day she told me that my sister Chloe was going to stay with Dad for a while, and I'd be helping her with something important. I didn't question it. Mom was always unpredictable, but she had this calm way of speaking that made you think everything was under control. I was 17, a normal guy, quiet, a little shy, not the kind who gets into trouble. Chloe, on the other hand, was the complete opposite, outgoing, stylish, always surrounded by friends, always taking pictures. We were twins, but nobody ever thought we looked alike. She got Mom's features, soft and pretty. I got Dad's, more angular and plain. Sometimes people didn't even believe we were siblings. I didn't know then how much that difference would matter. The first sign that something was wrong was when Mom brought me into Chloe's room. It was spotless as always, the air filled with her floral perfume. She told me she needed my help sorting her things because Chloe had left in a hurry. Then she opened her wardrobe and looked at me in a strange way. "You and your sister have the same build," she said slowly. "It's actually quite remarkable." I laughed awkwardly, thinking she was joking, but she didn't smile. She pulled out one of Chloe's skirts and held it against me like she was measuring something invisible. "Just humor me," she whispered, "please, Ryan." I didn't understand, but I did as she asked. She handed me one of Chloe's outfits, a blouse, a skirt, and a wig from one of her cosplay sets. It felt ridiculous, but she was serious. "It's just for a few pictures," she said. "I need to send them to the school." That part confused me more than anything. Why would my school need pictures of me dressed like my sister? She told me Chloe had gotten into trouble, something about missing assignments, absences, and that the school was considering disciplinary action. Apparently, Mom had already told them Chloe was sick, and now she needed to prove it. Somehow, that meant using me. "No one will know," she said. "You'll be helping your sister." I should have said no. I should have told her it was crazy. But she sounded desperate, and for once, I wanted to be the good son who fixed things. So I agreed. She guided me through it, almost like she had rehearsed the whole thing. She styled my hair, applied makeup with an eerie precision, adjusted the wig, and made me repeat the name Chloe until it didn't sound strange. When I looked in the mirror, I froze. The reflection wasn't me anymore, it was her. My sister. The resemblance was uncanny, terrifying even. I felt my stomach tighten as Mom smiled proudly. "Perfect," she whispered, "no one will ever question it." She took dozens of photos, each one more convincing than the last. Then she told me to keep the clothes on just in case someone called. I didn't realize she meant it literally. That evening, she told me to answer the phone if the school called and pretend to be Chloe. She said she'd guide me through it. I felt sick, but I did it. The principal's voice was calm but suspicious, asking about assignments and attendance. I read from the notes Mom had written for me. When I hung up, my hands were shaking. I thought that was the end of it, that I could take it all off and go back to being me. But Mom just looked at me quietly and said, "You did good, Chloe." I froze. She didn't correct herself. The next morning, she woke me early and handed me a school uniform. Chloe's uniform. "You're not going to your school today," she said. "You're going to hers." I thought she was joking again, but when she opened the car door and I saw the familiar building, Chloe's private academy, I realized she wasn't. "Mom, they'll know." I panicked, but she gripped my shoulder. "They won't. I told them you were coming back after your illness. Just stay quiet, keep your head down, and follow her routine." It made no sense, but she was scarily confident, like she'd planned everything. Walking into that school as my sister was the most surreal experience of my life. Every corner smelled of perfume and chatter. Girls in pleated skirts and glossy shoes passed by me, laughing, unaware that one of them wasn't who she seemed. Some even greeted me, "Hey, Chloe," and I responded instinctively, my voice trembling. No one doubted me. Not one person looked twice. I went through classes, answered questions, smiled when I had to, and somehow it worked. It shouldn't have, but it did. Days turned into weeks. Mom said Chloe needed more time away, that things were complicated with Dad. I wasn't allowed to contact anyone, not even my friends from my old school. She said she'd handled it, that everyone thought I'd transferred. I didn't understand how she managed to cover it all, but she did. Even my phone was replaced with Chloe's, filled with her messages, her social media, her friends. And that's when the strangest thing happened. People started believing it so deeply that I began to forget what it felt like to be Ryan. At first, it was terrifying. I'd come home, try to wash off the makeup, but Mom would stop me. "Not yet," she'd say. "Someone might drop by." Then she started calling me Chloe all the time. I protested, but she'd just smile gently and say, "You're doing so well, sweetie." I'd yell, but she never yelled back. She just looked at me with this calm sadness, like she knew something I didn't. It was confusing. I missed myself, my clothes, my friends. But each time I looked in the mirror, I saw Chloe's face looking back, and a small voice inside me whispered that maybe it was easier this way, to just be her. Things took a darker turn when Chloe herself returned. I expected her to burst through the door, furious, demanding her life back. But when she arrived, she didn't even seem surprised. She stared at me for a long moment, her expression unreadable. Then she laughed softly. "Wow," she said, "you really do look like me." I didn't know how to react. "You're back," I stammered, "so I can stop this now, right?" She tilted her head. "Stop what? You've done a good job. Everyone thinks I'm fine. Mom says it's better this way for now." That "for now" haunted me. It meant nothing was ending. Mom treated me like her daughter full-time now. She even enrolled me officially in Chloe's school, changed records, everything. I tried calling Dad, but his number was blocked. When I finally reached him through a friend, he said something that shattered me. He said, "Chloe, your brother is fine. Don't worry." My voice caught in my throat. "Dad, it's me, Ryan." But he just laughed softly. "You don't have to play games with me, sweetheart." That was the moment I realized the truth. Mom had convinced everyone. The world didn't see me as Ryan anymore. I was gone, replaced by a version of Chloe that fit whatever story she had told. When I confronted her, she just said, "You were always so lost, Ryan. You never knew who you wanted to be. Now you have a purpose. People see you, they talk to you, they care. Isn't that better than being invisible?" I wanted to scream that it wasn't, but her words stuck with me. Because deep down, I remembered how lonely I had been before all this. No one noticed me. No one cared. But now, people smiled when I entered a room. They called my name. Even if it wasn't the right name. Still, I tried to fight it. I tried to prove I was Ryan. I dug through old photos, old certificates, even my ID, but they were gone. Mom had replaced everything. The house was filled with Chloe's things. My room had been redecorated, walls painted pale pink, all my old clothes vanished. I felt trapped in someone else's skin, someone else's story. Chloe watched me with this strange mix of pity and curiosity. "Maybe you should stop resisting," she said once. "Mom says it's hurting you." But I couldn't. I had to hold on to something of myself. The final straw came at the school's annual event. I'd been forced to participate in a performance as Chloe, makeup, hair, everything. During rehearsals, I caught my reflection in the mirror, and for a split second, I couldn't remember my own voice. I whispered my name, Ryan, but it sounded foreign. That scared me more than anything. I ran off stage, trembling, and locked myself in the restroom. When I looked into the mirror again, I tried to imagine my old face, my old self. But all I could see was hers. That's when I started crying, quietly at first, then uncontrollably. I didn't even hear the door open until Mom appeared behind me. She didn't scold me. She just placed her hand on my shoulder and whispered, "It's okay, sweetheart. You're safe now. You don't have to hide anymore." I wanted to yell that I wasn't hiding, that she was hiding me, but the words wouldn't come. She guided me out, wiped my tears, and whispered something I'll never forget. "Maybe this is who you were always meant to be." For a while, I hated her for that. I thought she had stolen everything from me, my identity, my freedom, my life. But as months passed, something shifted. People around me didn't see the confusion anymore, they saw confidence. They saw someone strong, kind, and graceful. They saw Chloe. And slowly, I started responding to that. I started studying her old habits, her handwriting, her posture, until they became mine without effort. There were moments when I'd catch myself smiling in ways I never did before, moments when I felt a strange sense of belonging in this role I never chose. But the truth is, I still dream of being Ryan sometimes. In those dreams, I'm just a boy sitting quietly in his old room, surrounded by familiar things, untouched by secrets. Then I wake up, and the world reminds me that he doesn't exist anymore, not officially, not even in the minds of those who once loved him. Mom's plan worked too well. Everyone believes her story. Even I'm starting to believe it sometimes. Last week, I found something in the attic, an old photo of me and Chloe from when we were kids. We were both smiling, holding hands, wearing identical clothes. Back then, no one could tell who was who. I stared at it for a long time, and something inside me broke quietly. Maybe that's what Mom had seen all along, the part of me that could become her. I still don't know why she did it. Maybe she thought she was saving me, or maybe she just couldn't handle losing control. Whatever the reason, she succeeded in one thing: I can't undo what's been done. People greet me as Chloe, teachers know me as Chloe, friends hug me as Chloe, and even my own reflection refuses to remember anyone else. I've stopped trying to correct them. Sometimes I whisper Ryan's name under my breath, just to hear it, to remind myself that he existed. But even that feels like a memory fading in water. Now, when I look at Mom, she smiles softly, proud and content, like the world finally makes sense to her. I wonder if she ever regrets it, if she ever misses her son. Maybe she does, deep down. But she'll never say it. And I'll never ask. Because the truth is, even if I wanted to go back, I don't know how. My life was swapped, rewritten, believed by everyone, and maybe that's the cruelest part. When everyone believes the lie, it stops being a lie. So this is my story. I was Ryan once. Now I'm Chloe. And even though I didn't choose this, it's the only life left that anyone recognizes. Maybe one day, I'll figure out who I really am beneath all of it. Maybe one day I'll find the courage to remember that boy again. But until then, I'll keep living this borrowed life, smiling when people call my name, even when it's not mine, because pretending is easier than being forgotten. And in this strange, twisted way, maybe that's the only truth I have left. Sometimes I wonder if this is what losing yourself truly means, not in some poetic or tragic way, but in a slow, quiet erosion where each day shaves off another piece of who you once were. When I wake up now, I don't immediately remember to question it anymore. I go through Chloe's morning routine automatically, wash my face, apply the light foundation Mom taught me to use, brush my hair the way Chloe always did, and slip into the uniform that used to feel like a costume but now fits like a second skin. It scares me how natural it's all become. The way my voice softens when I speak. The way I tilt my head when someone calls my name. The way I smile for photos without even realizing I'm doing it. But deep down, the fear hasn't gone anywhere. It just hides under the surface like a heartbeat. Every time I look at old pictures online, our family photos, before all this, I feel it pounding again. I'm still there, standing beside her, but I look like a ghost now, some stranger I can't reach. People comment things like, "Wow, Chloe, you look so young there," and I want to scream that it wasn't her. It was me. But who would believe that? The internet believes what it's told. And the story they've been told is that Ryan doesn't exist. Chloe seems to have accepted it completely. She visits sometimes, but not often. She's changed too, calmer, distant, like someone who's let go of an old chapter. Once, I asked her why she never tried to fix this, to tell the truth. She looked at me with an expression I'll never forget, sad, almost sympathetic. "Because Mom thinks this is better," she said. And maybe she's right. "You seem happier." Happier. That word echoed in my head for days. Am I? Or am I just too tired to fight anymore? Mom, of course, acts like everything is perfect. She plans things, makes schedules, talks about the future as if it's always been this way. She even enrolled me in dance classes, saying it would help me find confidence. It worked in ways I didn't expect. Moving to music, learning rhythm, watching myself in the mirror surrounded by other girls, it made me see myself differently. I started to feel graceful, something I never felt as Ryan. But every new skill I learned, every compliment I received, came with a strange guilt. Like I was stealing someone's life and pretending it fit me. One afternoon after class, my dance teacher, Miss Harper, called me aside. "You've changed a lot since you started, Chloe," she said with a warm smile. "You seem lighter." I wanted to tell her that she was talking to the wrong person, that the real Chloe was somewhere else living another life. But when she looked at me, her kindness broke something inside me. I nodded and said thank you. Because it was easier. Because it was safer. But that night, something happened that tore open everything I'd tried to bury. I was cleaning my drawer when I found a folded note, one of my old school letters, something that must have been left behind when Mom cleared out my things. It was addressed to Ryan Turner, written by my old friend Michael. He'd been my best friend since childhood, the only person who ever truly understood me. The letter was simple, just a few lines about missing me and wondering why I'd disappeared without saying goodbye. The words hit me like a punch to the chest. He thought I'd just vanished. And in a way, I had. The next day, I couldn't focus in class. My thoughts kept drifting back to him. What would he say if he saw me now? Would he recognize me at all? I decided to find out. That weekend, I took Chloe's phone and created a fake account just to message him, pretending to be an old classmate. I asked about Ryan. He replied within minutes, "Ryan? Oh, yeah, he moved away or something." No one really heard from him again. Just like that. As if I had never mattered. I sat staring at the screen, tears blurring my vision. That night, I confronted Mom again. "You took everything from me," I said, my voice shaking. "My name, my life, my friends. Why?" She looked at me quietly, her hands folded in her lap. "Because Ryan was unhappy," she said softly. "He was fading. You were always so unsure, so invisible. I saw you breaking, and I couldn't let that happen. So I fixed it. By erasing me." I shouted. "By lying to everyone?" Her eyes glistened, but she didn't cry. "Sometimes lies are what save people," she said. "You wouldn't understand now, but one day you will." I wanted to hate her. I wanted to scream that I wasn't saved, that I was trapped. But the truth was, part of me did feel stronger than before. The world treated me differently now, people noticed me, cared about me, wanted to talk to me. But that attention came with a price. I had to keep living a lie that had already replaced my truth. Weeks passed, and life settled into a strange rhythm. I became Chloe completely in the eyes of everyone. I started excelling in school, something Ryan never did. I was invited to social events, to parties. Sometimes I'd catch myself laughing, really laughing, and then freeze because I didn't know if that laughter belonged to me anymore. Mom would beam with pride, and I'd play along because I didn't know what else to do. Then came the day everything nearly unraveled. During a school event, a boy named Ethan approached me. He was quiet, polite, and kind, one of the few people who seemed genuine. He said he felt like he'd met me before, but couldn't remember where. My heart skipped. "Maybe online?" I suggested quickly. He smiled, but something in his eyes said he didn't believe me. A few days later, he showed up with an old photo he'd found of Ryan and Michael, from a tournament years ago. "You just look so much like him," he said, studying my face. I felt my blood run cold. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about what would happen if the truth came out. Would Mom lose everything she'd built? Would people think I was insane? Or worse, would they refuse to believe me again, this time in reverse? I realized there was no version of the story where I could win. I was trapped between two identities, both half-true, both incomplete. But then something unexpected happened. Ethan didn't expose me. He didn't question me further. Instead, he said something that stopped my heart. "Whoever you are, you seem like you're carrying a lot. You don't have to explain anything. Just be yourself, okay?" Those words echoed in my head for days. Be yourself. But what did that even mean anymore? After that, I started writing in secret. Not as Chloe. Not as Ryan. Just as me, whoever that was. I wrote about the confusion, the fear, the strange sense of freedom tangled with guilt. Writing became the only place where I didn't have to pretend. Sometimes, late at night, I'd read those pages aloud, just to remind myself that I still had a voice separate from the one Mom created. One evening, Mom found the notebook. I froze when she entered my room holding it. I expected anger, or denial. But she just sat down beside me, opened it, and read silently. Then she closed it gently and said, "You write beautifully." I waited for her to say something else, to scold me, but she didn't. Instead, she whispered, "Maybe it's time you decide who you want to be." That moment changed everything. It was the first time she'd given me permission to choose. I didn't know how to respond, but I could see that she meant it. Maybe she realized she couldn't control this forever. Maybe she finally saw that her idea of saving me was breaking me instead. In the weeks that followed, she stopped correcting me when I slipped and said Ryan. She let me wear what I wanted, choose my own name on documents, and even reached out to Dad to tell him the truth, or at least a version of it. He didn't understand, of course. He was angry, confused. But when he saw me, really saw me, he softened. "You look different," he said quietly. "But you seem okay." That was all he could manage. It's been months since then. Some days, I live as Chloe because it's easier, familiar. Other days, I wear clothes that feel closer to Ryan, even if the world doesn't remember him. I've stopped trying to erase one side or the other. Maybe I'm both. Maybe I'm neither. Maybe I'm just someone still trying to find peace in the wreckage of what my mother built. I don't hate her anymore. I don't think I ever fully did. She made terrible choices, but maybe she thought love justified them. Maybe she believed that if she could just rewrite the story, she could erase the pain. But life doesn't work that way. You can't erase someone without erasing part of yourself too. Sometimes at night, when the house is quiet, I go to the mirror and stare at my reflection. The person looking back doesn't scare me anymore. The eyes are still mine, even if the face has changed. I whisper both names softly, Ryan and Chloe, and for the first time, it doesn't feel wrong. It feels whole. Maybe I'll never go back to who I was. Maybe I'll never fully escape what she did. But I've learned something from it all, that identity isn't about what others believe. It's about what you can live with when the world stops asking questions. And so I live, quietly, in the space between who I was and who I've become. Not pretending anymore. Not running. Just existing. Because sometimes survival itself becomes its own kind of truth, and maybe, just maybe, that's enough.